Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Soly here. We have a conversation coming shortly. TC and I chatted with our good friend, Jim Hartsell. He's got a book out. It's called A Round of Scottish Courses. Jim is a true pioneer in terms of Americans that have gone over to Scotland, made a ton of friends, uncovered and found some hidden gems of golf courses that are off the beaten trail and just different than what you're going to find on a top 100 list. So this is the hidden gems of Western Scotland with one of the most seasoned travelers that we've known and just a dude that we just delight in talking to every time. And we're going to see a lot of these courses upcoming in our tourist sauce season this fall. So be sure to check that out. This episode is also brought to you by Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. You can go to Titleist.com and explore what combination of flight, spin, and feel is right for your game. With that, we're going to get right into the show, our conversation with Jim Hartsell.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Hartsell, the illustrious Jim Hartsell, our old friend. Yeah. How are you, sir?
I'm honored to be back on with you guys. I'm doing well. You know, I didn't know if you'd let me on after the state draft and you had Alabama in the bottom 10, but you know, Neil came through and saved Bama from complete oblivion. So I owe Neil a beer the next time I see him. But no, you know, that, by the way, that was so much fun. That one. But yeah, I'm doing great, man. Just trying to get the book out there, thinking about my next trip to Scotland, and just happy to be talking to you guys again.
You mentioned the book, A Round of Scottish Courses. If I may, it's an optimistic, fun, energetic romp through just some oft overlooked destinations in Scotland. And I think the journey itself, it's kind of wrapping in 25, 30, 40 years of Scottish golf trips into one thing. And I loved reading it. It's one of my favorites.
Well, just for the listeners' sake, Jim, can you give a little bit of background of who you are, what what your pedigree is? I think you got a pretty decent pedigree here to write a book about Scottish golf here, and people will hear why here shortly. But you hear that accent, you hear from Alabama, and the story of Jim Hartsell and the relationships you've formed in the country of Scotland is it's just a great. It always makes me smile. It's an incredible journey you've been on in that country.
Well. Yes. I mean, I fell in love with it. I've written about this a good bit. When I was a kid, I just, watching the Open with my dad, it was his favorite tournament and it became my favorite tournament. You know, back then, you could only watch, I think ABC showed it and it would only come on like the 12th hole, on Sunday, and they'd show Saturday and Sunday, but it'd be from the 12th hole on. And I fell in love with it. And the one I remember, and this is in both of my last two books, is the 77 Open at Turnberry. And I know you guys have watched videos of that, and the course was just completely baked out. I remember thinking, man, this is the way golf is supposed to be played. And I cannot explain why, other than it just was very interesting to me, and the kind of shots they were playing. And I was only 9 or 10 years old, but I was already hooked on golf, and that just did it for me. And my dad, he said, we're going to go one year. We're going to do this sometime. And it was when I graduated from college, we planned the trip. He let me plan it. It was 1994. The first year I went, and we went down, and I've told this a lot, but I'd read Michael Bamberger's book, To the Links Land, went down to Machrihanish, stayed for a week, then branched out from there to the Old Course and Carnoustie and some of the bigger places. But I met some people on that trip and that sort of became friends and got me. I joined Machrihanish the next year, started going, and it just developed from there. So it's amazing. I mean, you've met some of these people. I mean, I've got some really good friends over there. I hardly have to pay for anything when I go over there. People let me stay. They let me stay at their house. Basically I just got to get a car and a way to get over there, and I'm pretty much taken care of. And it's amazing for somebody that grew up in, outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and now lives in a small town in North Alabama. But it's something I love, and the country. I love the country as much as the golf, and the people are just. You guys have been all over the world. The people, you just saw this in the World Cup, where they just pretty much took over the World Cup when they came over here. They're just wonderful.
So your book, it's all over Scotland, but I think it feels like your spiritual home of sorts is out on the West Coast, and especially the Mull of Kintyre, and then just the exploration that being on the West Coast with all these islands and the Outer Hebrides and the Wee Islands and all of that entails? Like, just how did you, I guess, going to Machrihanish that first time and then to Dunaverty, how did that blossom over the next 15, 20 years? Like, going from that first trip to your return trips.
Yeah, that's a good question because I love that. That's my favorite area, the West Coast and the Hebrides, the islands. And when we went to Machrihanish, a gentleman introduced me to Dunaverty, which I wrote about in the book. I just fell in love with it, and I said, this is where I'm going to come here, no matter what I do from now on, because you guys know this. Once you get hooked on this, you just think about going back as soon as you get home. I mean, you get off the plane and you're tired, but then the next morning you're like, okay, when can we go back? I think it was the second trip where I was, me, Tron, you and I have talked a lot over the years. I love the logistics of stuff, and I love the planning of it. And so I was that second trip, I was thinking, well, hey, if instead of driving all the way down Kintyre around Loch Lomond and down through Lachilpid and all that stuff, which takes about 3.5 hours, you can take a little ferry over to Arran and just skip and then drive around Arran and take another ferry over. So I knew nothing about Arran. I was just looking at the ferry stuff, and I knew nothing about Shishkin. I don't even think people didn't even talk about Shishkin back then. But I looked it up, and I saw that there's a 12-hole course. So I told my dad, I said, look, we're going to spend one night. Instead of driving all the way down, we're going to hop over to Arran, and we're going to play this course Shishkin, and then we're just going to get the ferry and go. I said it'll take a day. We stayed at the hotel there, like the one in Blackwaterfoot. I can't think of the name of it now, but and I just thought, man, this is incredible. And it was just unlike anything I'd ever played. It reminded me, and I think you and I have said that 12 holes is probably the perfect amount. And I was a lot younger then, but now as I've gotten older, I think 12 holes is a pretty good amount. But I fell in love with it, and it was just by accident because I was honestly just trying to find a shortcut, which it's a great shortcut if you don't want to drive as much, because once you get off there at, I think you guys just took this ferry. Once you get off at Cloynig, it's about a nice hour, 50-minute, or maybe a 50-minute drive down to Dunaverty and Machrihanish. So that's kind of how I found it by accident, and I just started going there and branching out from there. I mean, I eventually started going out to some of the other islands, and I mean, the golf on these places is so wild and rough, and I just love it. So I would say it came about through the logistics part of it, just trying to figure out how to get from one place to another. And then me being a map freak, looking at maps and collecting all these old golf monthlies that in the back would have a little article about some hidden, they would call it the hidden gem of the month, and be an article about Caradale or, Mockery out on Isla, stuff that you just don't, back then you didn't hear about. I mean, obviously there wasn't Twitter and there wasn't Instagram, and there wasn't really even stuff posted online then. So it was just, you got magazines and kind of collected articles. And I think I showed you some of my scrapbooks where I collected all this stuff over the years, so that's kind of how it started.
So, all right, 94. And then what was the next trip back after 94?
96. It was 2 years when we went back. Yeah. I've probably been over 20 times now. I had a little stretch there when my kids were really young, where I didn't get to go for 2 or 3 years. And, but I've been able to just, luckily with my work and stuff, I've been able to figure out a way to get over there. And especially, the last 6-7 years, I've been going twice a year. I've been lucky enough to be able to do that. And, it's just something that's become a part of my life. And I sort of planned it all year. Like I said, when I got back in April, I just missed you guys, not by much. And I started thinking about going back in August. So I'm going in about 3 or 4 weeks.
How do you balance going to the places? Because I struggle with this a lot. Balance going to the places that you come to love and you're going to have a great time at, with the exploration and the curiosity and wanting to go somewhere new, and not over indexing on one or the other.
And
Yeah,
what is new to you at this point? What haven't you
well,
discovered yet?
it's Scotland has 520 golf courses. I think that number is under dispute, but it's about that much. So I think I've played 110, 108. So there's still stuff out there, believe it or not. Now I've played pretty much everything I want to. I say that I've not been up to I've not been up to Shetland. I want to get up to Shetland sometime. But it's really just I try, and it's a good point question, Tron, because it's hard because I want to go to Erin and I want to spend a few days on Erin. I want to go to Denarity and see my friends and play in a competition or two. So I've got to do that, but I've gotten to where now I make sure I have at least one new course and one new place in the trip. If it works out that I can get more, fine. But I just try to find one that I haven't played. I'm trying to, you've given me this Grand Tully hotel that I've not stayed at, which is up near Pitlochry. I'm going to go stay there and I'm going to try to play. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off, but I've never played in Michael Bamberger's book, the 6-hole course, Auchnafree, that's the kind of the homemade course that's up in the hills there. And I've written to Auchnafree recently to see if I could get out there, and I'm going to try to do that. That's going to be my new one. If I can't do that, I'll probably pick up one. There's one or two in the Ayrshire that I haven't played, believe it or not. So yeah, I try to. It's a tough. I've been lucky to go to all these areas many times, but you do have things that you love, and I can't. I have to spend a few days at Denarity, and I have to spend a few days on Erin. You guys have been to Erin. It's magical. I mean, it just, it's just another world altogether. And so, but I do want to have at least one, and sometimes more, but at least one new one that I can add to the list. And it just really depends. It'll be from something you've told me or another friend. I get messages from people, please come here if you can. We'd love to have you. I'd love to host you. But I've been able to get to just about every area, except like Shetland and Orkney, way up there. I mean, that's basically in Norway, as y'all know. I mean,
we were at Tane, and they were having the Orkney Golf Club, and I think Eriskay. Eriskay doesn't have a course, but there's a club. And they were playing a match against one another. I'm like, man, Hartsell needs to be at this dinner here because these are his people. So
I love being out on those islands. The people are so friendly, and there's just you've just been out to them recently. I mean, you're almost alone on the earth when you're playing some of these places. It's just incredible. But yeah, I try to. I still look for new things. I'll take roads that I've never been on. I mean, which can be dangerous in Scotland. You think you're taking a shortcut and all of a sudden you're on a 1-lane road for 40 miles and, with passing places. But I've learned how to, fortunately I can drive pretty well over there and, but it can be intimidating if you're not used to it.
Yeah. Well, what is it about the West Coast specifically, both Ayrshire, Arran, Kintyre, all these islands that really speaks to you even more so than, you have a great appreciation for East Lothian and Fife and the Highlands, but what is it about the West Coast that pulls at you?
I think it's the landscape and just the wildness of the courses. Denarity and so wild, and Machrihanish is, Prestwick, which is just one of the greatest courses on earth. And it's just, I wish they could still somehow have the Open there. It's the landscape. It's so unusual. And the history too, Tron. I think the history of the West Coast of Scotland started on the West Coast. People came over on boats from Ireland and, it settled around Kilmartin Glen, over 5,000 years ago. And the last several years, I've spent so much time going to these historic sites. And, I'm an architect too, so I love going to look at this stuff. And just the history of it is just mind-blowing. And like when you're out walking around Kilmartin Glen or one of these other sort of ancient sites on Arran or wherever, it's very I mean, you guys know me, you've read my writing. I get a little bit spiritual about stuff, but it's a very spiritual feeling to be in some of these places. It's hard to describe if you're out there when the sun's going down or in the morning or whenever it might be. That was originally what it was. And then just the people were so welcoming, and they are all over Scotland. Look, I'm not trying to say but there's something about being down at Dunaverty or on Arran that people just literally will do anything for you to make sure you have a good time. And so that's kind of what drew me to it. And the golf is just fabulous. I mean, I think you guys would admit the golf is different than the East Coast. The courses are, especially in Kintyre and the islands, they're rougher around the edges. You know, they're quirky, which I love. I mean, Prestwick is probably the most quirky championship course in the world, and I dearly love it. I mean, I just think it's brilliant. So that's part of it too. Yeah.
Soly, you talk about Dunaverty, because I think that's God. Where. But like, I think when you're talking about planning a trip to the West Coast, I mean, Jim, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like Arran, Dunaverty, and then up to Machrihanish. Like that's the center of the maze. You can play a round or two in Ayrshire and then branch out and explore from there. But that's the non-negotiable. That's like the tier one. And Soly, to your point, from like some of our other pods that we've done on planning Scottish golf trips, of like, I think the tier one in like on the West Coast is different from the tier one. It's a spiritual, subjective tier one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's hard. This is one of the harder pods to do, I guess, with like, if we're going to title this "How to Plan a Trip to Western Scotland," we're going to have we have somebody here that's been, I don't know how many times, 30 plus times, and done this. And if you've never been to Western Scotland to play golf, I don't recommend you start at Carradale and the Outer Hebrides and Machrihanish maybe, but like that, you're probably going to start somewhere on the Ayrshire coast. So if you're, for reference, that's going to include the Troon. Troon is like the staple there. Troon and Turnberry are the top of the class there. They're the open rota courses there. They're the courses that are most widely known in that area. You kind of get a little lower than that. You have Western Gales, Prestwick, of course, the history there. Prestwick has changed a ton, over the years, but is incredible history at that club, but is not still maintained like an open rota course is from an infrastructure standpoint. And then there's two courses at Turnberry. There's Robert the Bruce is the second course there. And there's, I mean, TC, you probably have know more about the depth right around that area than I do from there. I've only played kind of mostly those courses from there, but from that kind of hub of the West Coast within shouting distance. And if you're going to only base yourself in the West, and you are looking for some adventure from there, you can head down. They basically ferry over, like you've said, to the Isle of Arran, which, if you're not looking at a map, how that works structurally, basically the western coast of the mainland is where you'll find Troon and Turnberry and Prestwick and the city of Ayr, Ayr there. But how it works west of there, across the Firth of Clyde, is the Isle of Arran. And then from that isle, farther west, is the Mull of Kintyre, or the Kintyre Peninsula. Which, like, the route to drive there, to Jim's point, he's kind of looking for a shortcut to get there. The route to drive there from Troon is a disaster. I mean, you got to go way up through Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park. Hope I'm saying that right. It looks like all the way around to get onto this little peninsula. Or you could take the ferry route, put your car on the ferry, and drive around Arran and get down to Campbelltown. And you
got to book it beforehand. Like, you got to book it way out in advance, because the ferry
show up at the ferry.
Yeah.
So if you have the appetite to get weird, and to explore and to drive and to travel and to get to some more remote parts, there's no better place to do that. I think that comes from, but at the same time, like, I think some of the best feedback we've ever heard from people is when they message us after going to Cullen, or after going to, I wouldn't say Brora is as far off the beaten path as maybe as it was 10 years ago or so, but I would never gone here if it wasn't for you. A lot of people know about the main courses, but if you're looking for a golf experience, and that's the whole thing too, with like, I get, I have one friend in mind always when I think about these things. It's my buddy Sean. He always texts me like, should I play Dunbarney or should I play this? and he doesn't listen to any of our content. And I'm like, that's how a lot of people think about the trip. They're just looking to play all of the best courses. And I try to get people, and I know TC, you're even better about this than I am. And Jim, you're the poster boy for this, of like, the point of traveling to another country to play golf isn't entirely to play all of the top courses on the list there. And when I go to a new region, I want to do that. So I'm guilty of this as well. But there's the recent Tour Sauce season that we shot and that people are going to see this fall is just it's almost reimagining golf is how I would describe it, Jim. Because we walked off Whiting Bay on the Isle of Arran and just said, like, there was not one 420-yard dogleg left par 4 with bunkers on both sides of the fairway. Like, that's how a lot of golf in America is, and there wasn't one of those holes. And at no point was I like, oh, this isn't real golf as I'm playing it. And the entire, I guess, the thesis, I guess, of this episode and a lot of the encouragement we're going to give here is like, go experience what you might call weird golf, but that's just golf to a lot of people in that area. And that is, there's a whole culture around these places and the game in this country that we just have a continually growing appreciation for. And to your point, Jim, you're 30 plus years into doing this, you're still discovering new places, trying new places, and experiencing the depth of that culture.
I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit later, but Whiting Bay, my God, I don't even know how to talk about it. It's hard to talk about. I mean, I was so happy when you guys were planning. Tron and I were texting a lot over the months, and toward the end of it, I said, "Man, you've got to go to Whiting Bay." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out." And when I found out you guys were going, I just knew you'd love it. I mean, it's not. I can't think of anything else really to compare it to. I mean, but as you say, what a wonderful golf club and friendly people, and just so much fun, so many different shots you have to play. It doesn't matter. And I know I sound like a broken record about this stuff, but it's got 9 par 4s and 9 par 3s. I mean, that's ridiculous. And it's just, and the 12th and the 15th, some of those holes, the 8th, I mean, you're talking about all world. I'll try not to cuss on your podcast.
You can cuss away.
Some of the fucking best holes you're ever going to see in your life. I mean, the 8th, the first time I played the 8th, I was like, oh my God. I think I even texted you a picture, Tron. And then, the 12th, and the 15th, when you come over the hill and you see the Firth and the Holy Isle, and you play, and the shots you can play. I mean, you can drive the green, or, I don't know. It just, and again, I don't even know what Whiting Bay is. It's probably 4,800 yards, or I don't even, something like that, maybe 5,000. I don't know. But yeah, I just, that kind of stuff, man, I get so excited about it. And I'm so happy that you guys got to do that this time. But yeah, there's a lot of that on the West Coast. There's more of that on the West Coast than there is on the East. And that's not meant to be a slight, but it's all over Scotland. And again, you could sit in the clubhouse at Whiting Bay for an hour after you're done, have a sandwich and a beer, and talk about what your favorite hole was. And you're going to have 2 or 3 members come up to you. And I don't know, it's everything I love about golf. Just even getting to finding the clubhouse, you think you're driving through you don't even know where you're going. You think you're driving into somebody's backyard or something. I mean, it's
crazy.
Nuts. I mean, it's just nuts. I mean, but it's the kind of stuff that I dearly love about golf. And we got too much homogenous stuff in the world. I'm thankful that we still got stuff like that.
Summer golf season is here. Our closets are looking a lot like the Rhoback website right now. I got to shout out Rhoback's lightweight looper short. This is exactly what you need if you play in hot weather climates. It's got the comfort of a gym short, but it looks like a proper golf short. It's got a stretched waistband, but it's got belt loops, a real button and fly. It's very lightweight. If you struggle with swamp ass, this is for you. I'll actually wear this to the gym and then just wear it straight to the range afterward. You don't need to change shorts. And it's not like wearing, a pair of stiff khakis in the gym as well. They got a ton of great colors with it. Haven't found a bad one. Second, the Rhoback Tailwind Polo is great for everyday wear. I find myself throwing it on all the time. It's soft, it's clean, it's lightweight, great for summer. The kind of polo you throw on and you immediately feel refreshed. Lastly, the pool is getting a lot of use this summer. The Medley swim trunk. I've got a few of these. I love every single pair I've got. The liner is so good. You actually want to throw it on. It really is that comfortable. The designs are great. They got pockets. It's just a really quality piece for the summer, for the pool. Rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com. You can use code NLU. You get 20% off your first order through the end of the week. Check out Rhoback and stop laying up. Rhoback.com, code NLU. Back to the pod. I have undying faith and trust in the both of you, but going down that road a little bit, a teeny tiny bit, I was like, where are TC and Jim taking us today? Where are we go? What are we doing here? What are we doing here today? My faith was, the faith and trust was, justified here by within a couple holes very quickly. But the pulling up was just like, whoa, what are we doing here today? But,
yeah, I think even on Aaron, like you can get like, all right, there's Shiskin, Corey, Whiting Bay. We've just talked about.
Real quick, TC, can I just, I want to butt this in of if you read Jim's book, you figure this out pretty quickly, but I'll say like, we are afforded, all of us here listening to this and all of us that, have got to experience some of this and are able to share the tales from it, is the great fortune we have. You mentioned this, Jim, of the Twitter and Instagram and the sharing of this. Like when you showed up at Whiting Bay for the first time, you did not, I imagine you'd never seen a picture of it. I'd imagine maybe you had, it's probably word of mouth of in a kind of a secret network you're getting of that. But all that to say, like, we're very fortunate, all of you, to be able to hear the tales and the places that Jim has been that are worth going, because that was something that was not afforded to you other than your little cutouts from your magazines back in the 90s. Like it's very, very cool to have this kind of stored away in just a couple easy to reach places that can forever be referred to.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about social media. I mean, a lot of these places, and I've been on Twitter since it started, and get messages from people. Hey, I'd really love for you to come by here. This is, you'd love this place. I mean, that's what happened with Aberfoyle, for one. I mean, just William, who I think I don't think you met, Tron, but has maybe corresponded with you. He was the club captain. Yeah. And several years ago, he sent me a message on Twitter. He said, I love your writing. I love your books. You understand Scottish golf. I'd love for you to come by here sometime if there's any way you can work it in. And I'm trying to get back to the airport. One trip I went up there, and I'm like, God Almighty, this is magical. I mean, and nobody knows about it. Nobody comes by here, and so that's kind of Soly. I mean, I find out through people just contacting me, or now, of course, I'm so crazy. I mean, I'll get on Google Maps and just. And just throw Google Maps and just look for stuff. Like, this looks like a golf course, and just try to. I mean, seriously, you find an area of Scotland, and you'll find one, and you say, "Man, that looks interesting." And what's the topography like? And so I've done a lot of that. But people I've met have been, Whiting Bay, Greg, several years ago. I mean, I didn't play Whiting Bay till probably, honestly, I have to admit, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And Greg said, "Hey." I was playing Shiskin and Corey every time I came over, and Mockery Bay, another little course I love. And he said, "Man, you ought to go to Whiting Bay. It's right down your alley." He said that, you'd love it. And I went, and of course he was right. I mean, after that, what is that, number 3, the little par 3 up the hill, the green's about the size of a hubcap. I mean, I just started laughing. I'm like, okay, I understand. So yeah, I mean, it's just word of mouth, and that's one of the things about this book. These places need visitors to survive. Aberfoyle needs visitors to survive more so than the places on Aaron even. That's part of my mission. As much as I love writing about these places, I want people to find out about them and take a little side trip to Aberfoyle or go over to Whiting Bay if you're going to go to Aaron. But it comes from all. And I can't go to all the places people ask. I know you must get email after email. Man, could you guys please come by here on Tour Sauce? And I know it's hard. You want to help people. You can't do everything. And, but every once in a while, if you can work one in, it turns out to be something you love, then, I'd like to try to help them. So.
Well, we heard stories when we were over on Aaron of you going to go search for lost golf courses out there.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well,
There's some good stuff in the book about that too. Like you just sitting there at this lady's kitchen table. Greg being like,
well, Greg, Greg, I mean, he stops. We're going up this dirt road in Pern Mill, which is sort of halfway between La Cranza and Shishkin, and just single track dirt road through farmland. And I'm like, where in the world are we going? And the road just goes right between these two houses. Like literally the houses are like on the edge of the road. And this old lady's looking out her front door. And Greg says, hold on, stop. I'm going to ask her where the golf course was. And we get out, and she's looking at us like we're kind of half crazy. But she says, yeah, it's just right up here. You'll see the old golf house, just another few 100 yards. But yeah, that I'm fascinated. I sort of call it golf course archaeology. Just, Aaron had 12 courses in, you can debate the dates, but in the early 1900s, there were 12 courses on this island. And I just got in my mind, I want to go to the site of all these courses, and I want to write about it and try to find out what they were like. And so I started several years ago when I had the idea for this book. I started trying to collect photos of these old places, and they really don't exist except on old postcards. And so that became my original idea for the book, or the imagery in the book was collecting these old postcards. I mean, the only place in the world that you're going to find a photo of Pern Mill Golf Course, which closed and probably existed from 1895 until 1940. I think the war pretty much did it in. You're going to find it in a couple of these postcards that were made for tourism. So I started collecting that. And then several years ago, Greg took me, we spent a day, Jake was with me, my son, and Greg took us around to these sites. He got permission from the farmers. They're all farmland now, privately owned. And it's just fascinating. You can see how great these places would have been. And I don't know, like the one Corey Cravey, we spent, you would just literally die if you saw the site of this place. I mean, it's like a cross between Shishkin and Whiting Bay. And the farmer let us go down, and we actually recreated one of the photos from this postcard from 1920 or so. We got Jake to stand where this guy was, and it's amazing to me, that's fun. I don't know why. I guess some of my architecture background and just trying to, but it's also the fact that this tiny little island had 12 golf courses. I mean, y'all been around it, y'all been there. That's ridiculous. I mean, the fact that they've got 7 now is still ridiculous. And that chapter was one of my favorites in the book. Going to these sites, and I'm still, honestly, I'm thinking my next book, I may expand that chapter into a full blown book. I've got people that I've met over there that are looking for other stuff, that they know people that might have stuff in their attic or whatnot. And it's just fun to try to, because these were good golf courses, and they were clubs, and the war did them in. What happened was when the war started, the golf courses were closed. The government took them over for plant crops, whatever you want to call it. And some of them never came back. They just didn't recover. And that's really what happened to the ones on Aaron that are not there anymore.
I mean, even Aaron, like it's somewhere. I've been to Aaron, I guess 4 times now. I thought when I went with you, Jim, that like, oh man, this is such a cool place. I'm probably not going to be back here I might be back here once more in my life. I've been 3 times since in the last 4 years. But even Aaron, it's one of those things where it's like we drove past Lamb Lash 5 times on this last trip, and I still haven't played Lamb Lash, or I still haven't played Macri Bay, or I haven't played La Cranza. And
you would love La Cranza. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, but it's one of those things of like there's just so many layers here to the West Coast to where like it's like you could spend a lifetime taking ferries and just going, like there's so much depth, I think, and there's so many. It's truly a quest for a lifetime, and then that's before you even get too far out, and there's all these other. I mean, shit, even one of the what is it, Great Cumbre, Millport, the
great.
Little, the little course there, and like that's a 10-minute ferry off the mainland.
10-minute ferry over to the island. The little town of Millport is great, and it's a James Braid course that literally is untouched since 1910 or whenever he designed it. Incredible. I've gotten to do that. I mean, you don't hear about those kind of places, and finding a braid course like that nobody has done anything to it. It's literally the way he laid it out. It's like, I think I've called Aaron a living history museum of golf, or of Scottish golf. And that's what it is to me, because you've got so much variety. You've got links golf at Shiskin. You've got hillside golf at Whiting Bay. You've got Glen Valley golf at Corey, which is just unbelievable. Brodick is kind of parkland, but on the water. And it's just all there. And it's all up and down it's all over Scotland, but it's especially all up and down the West Coast. And like you say, you can always find something new and different.
And that's where I think on our trip, like even for me, it was, hey, we're not playing all links golf. We're playing a bunch of mountain golf or parkland stuff. And Soly, like I'll leave it with you, but just like how good that variety was, how much of a perk and a feature that was, not a bug.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about playing links golf, there's a lot of things I love about it, but it's the creativity required in shots, something less than the aerial game, obstacles in weird places, funny bounces, having to use some creativity, not thinking as much about your golf swing, and thinking about how the land is going to affect the shot. There's creative ways of getting a ball into a certain place and making sure it's moving the right direction when it does land. All that is present in a lot of these places, right? You don't have to be by the sea for that. It's sometimes not as firm, but then you find certain patches at Corey that you don't expect to be firm, and sure enough, like you get a little punch driver on a little short par 4, and it runs all the way over the green, because it's just, if you hit the right trajectory, you're going to get the features of the land and do all these things. And that I get there and I just start picturing all these different shots, all the different clubs I can use. And I don't think about, is this, 7-iron going to, land 188 or 182 like I do when I go play golf, outside my door here in Jacksonville. So again, it gets to that, like, dude, yeah, if I was going for the first time, what do I want people to go experience links golf. But if you're looking to get past the breadth and depth of those offerings, there's a lot to be found and explored and experienced, and some of these places too. Like I think, not specifically, some of these kind of off the beaten path places that are hard to get to, maybe not as much, but it's hard to play 36 holes in a day, like at Turnberry and Troon. Like you're just not going to do that. Like as I'm getting older, that's just
expensive.
It's expensive. And it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
But something like, we played Shiskin and Whiting Bay on the same day. Do I have that right? Like, yeah. And that didn't feel like too much at all. Because Shiskin's 12 holes. Whiting Bay was a walk, and it's 18 holes, but it's, par 63, and it's not, there's something to, like, the days are long, and if you're looking to knock off a couple different experiences, knock off's the wrong phrase. If you're looking to go enjoy some golf in a couple different places, experiencing two places in one day that aren't going to kill you might be a better day than experiencing one top great 18 hole, 7,000 yard golf course.
I agree with that. I mean, as much as I love Troon and Turnberry and these courses are hard, and they will beat you up. And I think people should play them, and I'm not trying to discourage that. They're brilliant, but it wears you down, and you can't do, like you said, you can't do 36. I mean, I've always said, like, I'll do this when I go over in a few weeks, and I'm in my 50s. I mean, I play, I'll walk Corey and Shiskin. That's 21 holes. I'm not sure there's a better day of golf than that, honestly, in the world. 21 holes, the morning at Corey, the afternoon, have lunch at Shiskin, go into the pub there at the hotel after you're done at Shiskin, and you're set, and you're not, and you feel, I think I've written about this and I've talked to you about this, Tron. You almost feel energized after that. I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? You're not, you feel like, man, I'm energized. I don't know. It gives you energy. It doesn't take it away. And I don't know. It's just, I totally agree. And just back real quick, I used to be a little bit of a snob in the early years about, I was just playing links courses. Why am I going to come over here and not play a links course? I mean, But I finally realized, I went to Glen Eagles one year and played the Queen's course, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I been denying myself here? You've got these places, Boat of Garden, just brilliant
Blair
golf.
Gallery.
Yeah. Blair, just the stuff is just crazy good, and it's not. And I understand. Look, I default to the links stuff as well, but there's so much variety there in the mountain golf and the heathland golf, and so yeah, I don't be discouraged by the course not being on the ocean, because you're liable, the views at say somewhere like Boat of Garden are just beyond belief. So and Aberfoyle, you just been to Aberfoyle. I mean, some of the pictures you took at Aberfoyle, good God, I mean, they're some of the best photos I've ever seen you take, to be quite honest.
That was the fourth golf course I played that day. Yeah. And I went out thinking, all right, I'm going to have a little look around here. And, I mean, it's in the foothills of the Triassics there, and it's a big walk. And I remember texting Jim on like the second hole. I was like, oh yeah, okay, now I see why. And that's not even up the hill yet. And then I get up to 5, 6, 7, and I'm like, holy shit, Jim, you undersold this place.
Yeah. You took a picture on the fifth that it looked like it could be on the cover of Golfer's Journal or something.
That was just with my little iPhone.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous. And Aberfoyle, I don't even know what it is now. 20 pounds, 25. But yeah,
I was the only person on the course too. And it's the sun's going down and you're looking out towards Loch Lomond and all of that stuff. But Jim, I think like the thing that, and this comes through in your writing a lot, and that's why I love this book so much, is because it's about the journey, and it's about like the act of traveling, not necessarily the act of getting to a destination or, playing this place and checking the box. It's like, no, like I came on this trip to play this golf course, and here's the 6 other golf courses I played along the way that I wasn't even expecting to play. And I think that there's something about the Dunaverdys and the Shiskins or the Aberfoyles that they're not going to beat you up, and they allow you to have the energy to go travel and to, like Jim, when we went to Isle of Seal golf course, stopping through Oban, or some of these places we're not even playing, but you're just like, you're so energized and you're so excited to explore and for the drive and for the little sandwich places along the way or little pubs, because you feel like, like you're not, I think when you're playing the big championship 36-hole days, there's just not a lot of energy for other stuff.
Right. And you gotta leave that in. I mean, you've got to do that. I mean, you're a bit of a foodie, but the food is wonderful in Scotland. I mean, that green seafood hut in Oban that I know you've been to, that we've been to, it's right. The stuff has just come out of the water an hour before you eat it, probably. I mean, it's just, and it's wonderful, and it's just a little shack near the ferry terminal, and you could spend a day walking around Oban and just sitting and looking at stuff, and so I mean, you give yourself. That's part of I try to, in both of my books, even when Revelation Comes, that was one of the blessings of that trip where I was over there for such a long time. Was I didn't really have a schedule. I mean, I would get up and I would be going like, okay, I'd have a destination. Like I'm going up to Durness, but along the way, what am I going to see on the way to Durness? And if I saw a sign, like I saw a sign for Isle of Skye, I think on that trip, and went over there and played the course, the 9-hole course there. That's wonderful. So just, if you're able, and I know
there.
Yeah, right on the, and it just, it's, if you're lucky enough to be able, and I granted, I'm not going to say luck was involved, but just because there was a terrible reason I went over there for the trip, but I was fortunate to be able to stay for so long, and I really just did what I wanted, and I would go I'd see a sign, and I knew there was a golf course. I mean, Gairloch, and I didn't plan to go to Gairloch or Loch Heron, or I was just on the way to Durness, and I didn't really plan to play Ray and Wick. I was just on the way from Durness down to Brora, and but I'm like, okay, and I didn't even have, that's the beauty of going at certain times of the year is you don't have to, and you don't have to plan too far ahead. And also, a lot of these places you can just drive up on the day and play. You don't have to write
That's
a letter.
Such an underrated element of like, yeah, just being able to rock up versus, hey, if you don't get a tee time at Dornick or Troon or somewhere, you're SOL for 18 months. But it's, it's truly like, all right, like, oh, you know what? Like, this place looks awesome. Let's just pull over the side of the road and play it,
The day I played Ray Golf Course, which is a wonderful braid course up north, almost to John O'Groats, I saw one other guy on the course. A guy played through me on the second hole or third hole. I remember talking to him for a minute. Didn't see another soul out there. And this is a fabulous golf course. I mean, it's a James braid, another one of these braids that's really untouched. And there's an experience to be found in these places. And a lot of it, like you say, I mean, it takes a lot of the pressure off the travel part of it too. Cause y'all know you have to book Turnberry and Troon and the Oak. You have to book these things Muirfield a year ahead of time at least. And a lot of these places you can just show up and play. I mean, as much as Denaverty gets a lot of more play now, I looked at the tee sheet the other day and there was just you could have played almost any time. So yeah.
Let's kind of work our way out from the coast. Let's go up and down the Ayrshire coast, even down to, we can include stuff a little bit farther south of there as well. And then kind of work our way out. We've talked a lot about Erin. We'll talk a little bit more about Kintyre, and then we can kind of work our way out to the northwest and talk about all these other places along the way. Cause I think it's one of those things, like if somebody's going to do, like, I feel like we're giving people ingredients for a trip. All right, here's your stock, here's your base for Ayrshire. Whether it's so like Jim, let's say you were just going to Ayrshire. What are your can't miss non-negotiables? Prestwick being the top of the list there.
Prestwick would be the top, and probably Western Gales. And there's a public course in Ayr called Ayr Belle Isle that I really like. I would add that. It's just to get, so you can kind of see a true public course. I like Barassie. I would think about playing Barassie, but you've got so much there, Bogside and
Bogside. A couple of those made my eclectic or my Dream 18.
Yeah, I saw that. I was happy. I was proud of you for that. But there's just so much there. But I mean, to me, you got to play Prestwick. The Troon, I would say the Troon public courses are great. Loch Green and what is the other one? Darley, I think the other one's called. There's so you can, now they are so popular and they're so booked up, but you can get a tee time, you can get off there. But I would say Prestwick you have to play, and Western Gales is hard to argue
Western
against.
Gales.
Yeah, it's hard to argue
golf
against.
Course.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's gonna be it'll beat you up a little bit, especially if the wind's up.
It is hard. Troon, I think Troon has moved up, honestly, in my estimation over the years. It used to have kind of a reputation of this dour, place. I don't see it that way. I think the last couple of opens have I think it's solidified its place as far as I'm concerned in the Rota. But I think you have to start with Press. And I would hate to leave this.
Prestwick St. Nicholas too.
You got Prestwick St. Nicholas is great, and I've met some wonderful people there. It is a historic club, and it's got some great golf holes, and it's not very expensive. I think it's probably £70 to play, and it's a brilliant golf course. So I'm glad I was about to say that, but Prestwick St. Nicholas, and then you can't go wrong. I mean, you want to add. The Turnberry, it's hard to play. Turnberry's so expensive, but, there's another course. We're getting kind of out of the range, but, further down Port Patrick and Stranraer are not that far past Turnberry. You could almost work them in. I love
those are more
places.
headlands, like more kind of down the coast, St. Medans, Port Patrick,
yes.
Stranraer, more kind of up on the, yeah.
Yes, they are more headlands. Stranraer is kind of a mixture of headlands and sort of heathland, and it's Braid's last course. But that little area, if you can get down there and play St. Medan and and Stranraer and Port Patrick, tack that on to the being an Ayrshire. It's not more than an hour and a half, probably hour and a half drive to get down there. And Port Patrick is a stunning little seaside town. So that was a place that I think after I left you, that when we went 5 or 6 years ago, whenever we did the film, maybe it's been about 3 years ago now. That's where I went after I left you on air, and I went down to Port Patrick and loved it. So yeah, there's just it's a cliche, but you can't. It's hard to go wrong. But I would never skip Prestwick. That would be the one that if I was going to be an Ayrshire, I just wouldn't skip Prestwick.
Prestwick's such a welcoming club too.
So friendly.
I think it's going to be it's this historic, kind of blue blood place. And you think, and I found Muirfield to be the same thing. Like, you show up and like, you truly are a member for the day. And it's just a wonderful dining room with that big window looking out. And it's just a really hospitable group of people. And
100%. So friendly, and for such a historic club. I mean, well, they treat everybody this way, but I mean, I've been treated so well there over the years, and I've got a really good friend who's one of the main caddies there who has been great to me, and I just love it because I love the history, but the holes are great, and the course is in always such pristine condition. I mean, I'm not a huge condition person, but when somebody has a course so spotless and perfect, I take my hat off to them. I mean, it's perfect links condition. It's a golf mecca. You can't, but start with Prestwick and then
if you play Prestwick, I think you understand golf better.
Yeah.
Like, you understand how it developed and why it developed, and brings you back to the soul of it. We were talking about it on our pod the other day. We think that they should have a women's open at Prestwick.
100%.
The coolest thing ever. So,
well, they've had they did have the British Amateur there within the last 15 years, maybe. I think that was the last big thing they had was the British Am. You've been out there. They added some tees. I mean, they've made it as long as they can, but it's still, even with these tees, these ridiculous tees they put in a few places, I think it's still 6,900 at the most. And the ball the ball just rolls forever and ever and ever. If you're going in the right direction, you could hit I have hit literally a 450-yard drive at Prestwick on the 13th. I mean, on the 12th, the par 5, and I'm not making this up. I mean, it was just dead downwind, and I just nailed it. It got up in the jet stream, and my caddy, he jumped up and he said, "You're not going to believe where this ball is going to end up." And I think that par 5 is 540 or 550, and I'm an old man now, but I hit a wedge into it. I mean, think of now. Granted, if you're playing the other direction, you're gonna be lucky to reach the green in 5 shots. But that's just that to me is, and that's just the fun of playing in Scotland. I mean, you just got to laugh at all. You got to take what the conditions give you. That could be anything. When we were at Dunaverty in April, we had hail blowing sideways, and then the sun came out, and then it was rain, and then the wind was blowing 25 miles an hour, and we were just laughing the whole time. And you just got to. If you're not able to withstand that kind of thing, then you don't need to go over play. You need to stay here and play.
Need not apply.
Yeah.
All right. So Barassi, I've never played there. I've heard it can be polarizing because there's a lot of dog legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they rerouted some of it, and it's
got 27 holes. The original 9, which I love. And I can't think of what they call that original 9 now, not Hillside, something, but they combined at some point. They redid some of it and combined it with some of the other 18. It reminds me, it's got some holes by the railway, just like Troon. What's the railway hole at Troon? 11, maybe.
11, yep.
Yeah. There's a couple of holes like that are really good. I like Barassi, and I have to admit, I get influenced by just how friendly people are sometimes. The club is so friendly, and the general manager there is a great guy, and he's really tried
part of the
to build
experience.
it up.
That's why
it is.
That's why you travel, right?
Yeah,
it's not just about the golf course.
Well, they've got a Walker Cup room there. There's been 4 Walker Cup players that were members at Barassi. You'll love this pool, Tron. Gordon Sherry was one of them. The great Scott who never quite made it. I can't think of it, but he's the one that jumps to mind. The guy that won the Scottish Amateur maybe in '95 or something, and then just kind of faded out. But or won the British Amateur. But anyway, they've got a great sort of history there. I love it. I think it reminds me of Troon. It's not. It's got some quirky holes too, but I probably lean toward more just because of how friendly the people are there.
What about Glasgow Gales? That's kind of right there next to Western Gales. I've never played that one.
I have not played that one, I have to admit. It's one of the few in Ayrshire that I have not played. I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's a fairly traditional club from what I understand. I've talked to people that have played it, but I have not played that one. I probably need to get by there.
And then, Soly, I know you've played Dundonald. I've never played it. I've watched it a lot on the, whether the women's Scottish or kind of Kyle Phillips, right?
Kyle Phillips, yeah. It's a fine golf course. Again, kind of just flies in the spirit of almost everything we've talked about for the last 55 minutes and it's not overly showy. It's not, it's just, it's a modern golf course. It's not contrived. It's not a bad golf course. It's just not, it's really, 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 really hard to execute. And that's where I would say like Castle Stewart's in a class of its own in terms of like blending a modern links course into the natural Scottish landscape. Like Castle Stewart feels modern, and it's not in this region, to be clear. But everything else has just kind of felt like a weird made for Americans kind of experience. And that it's just so hard to recommend something like that when I feel like you're truly missing out on the purpose of traveling to Scotland when you end up at some of these places. Kingsbarns, I still think clears the bar for me. Like it is, I know it's not your favorite, TC, but Dundonald is not in the same category as Kingsbarns, if you ask me. Like it
doesn't
falls
have the scenery.
It falls woefully short of Kingsbarns to the point where when somebody has Dundonald, I get a lot of emails and questions from friends and whatnot of, here's our itinerary. It always has Dundonald on it. And I feel bad like for the people at Dundonald when I say like, I would sub something else in. If I was you, I would do something different. You're going to have a more memorable experience, probably doing something that's a little bit off the beaten path.
Well, I'll tell you along those lines. I mean, I played Kingsbarns 2 weeks after it opened, believe it or not. And I just, I don't lean toward those courses, but I understand people that love them, and I respect that. I'm really excited for our mutual friend, Rob Collins, doing the new Struy course at Dornoch. I want to see what Rob does with something like that. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head, Soly. It's hard to. One of the hardest things is to make something look old or like it's supposed to be there. It takes a really special talent. And I think Rob can pull it off. I don't know I know they're working on it, but I'll be excited to get up there to see how, because, when you do these new courses, I mean, even Mac Dunes, which a lot of people love and I like, it's probably unfair criticism, but it's hard to make them feel like Dunaverty does or Machrihanish does or Prestwick. It's just, and maybe that's just the fact that something that's been there 130 years is going to be, it's just going to be different, but it'll be interesting. I can't wait to see what Rob does up there. And I can't wait to get up there and I've not played Dornoch in a few years, but I want to play his new course whenever it gets done.
It's a lot of the quirk that comes from these old courses is just like, well, yeah, what do you, of course it's a blind shot. We didn't have like bulldozers to move but now if you do it, you're kind of like, are you being a little too cute? Like, yeah, we have the ability to kind of do what we want now. And it just that charm factor of that's just the challenge of doing a modern course. Really. It's not, it's hard to execute that when,
As much as I love blind shots, like I love the fourth hole at Dunaverty, but if somebody tried to build the fourth hole at Dunaverty now, people would say they're out of their mind. They'd say, you're crazy. This is a joke. What are you doing? But when you're there, you're like, man, this is just pure fun. I mean, it's just, you know, and you stand up there when you get on top of that dune, you're like, oh, this is perfect. This is a perfect green site. But it's also hard to create. A lot of those places, you know, were laid out where they found the green sites and they just worked out from there, you know, like this is a great place to put a green. Now let's figure out how we can get to it. And Dunaverty's a lot like that. And a lot of these courses we've talked about, it's no matter how good of an architect you are, you can't recreate something that's a natural occurrence. You can try, and some people are successful at it. You know, Rob's been successful at it. Other architects have, but there's still a difference. Like again, like the 4th or the 9th at Dunaverty with this green down in this sort of natural punch bowl. When you build that, it's just not going to look the same. And it's just, maybe it's the fact that it's been weathered for 130 years and that's the way it's always been. But yeah.
All right, we've talked a lot about Aaron. I feel like we've covered down on Aaron and our videos, you know, with you, the tourist sauce videos, like there's plenty, I think there's plenty to go on with Aaron. It's only a 55-minute, hour-long ferry ride over there. Like I would encourage people, like it sounds, and then when you're over there, it feels like going to, like you're in Hawaii or something like that. Like it's on the edge of the earth. Again, it's less than an hour ferry ride to get over there. So
when you guys proposed this trip, it was like, all right, we land and the same day we're taking a ferry. It seemed like too much on paper, and experience it was like, oh, like I could go play golf right now. Like you know, and we did. Like it was nothing, honestly.
Yeah. So all right. So going like skipping over Aaron, because we've talked a lot about that. Taking the ferry into Clown Egg, or even if you were just going to take the ferry into Campbelltown. Let's talk about Dunaverty, Machrihanish, Mac Dunes, Carradale, Gia, like basically the stuff there on the Mull of Kintyre, and then we'll move outward from there. Jim, it's not, you know, like between Machrihanish, Dunaverty, it's like Soly, like that was a perfect 36-hole day for you guys. Like it was on the back end of a lot of travel and everything, and you guys got down to Dunaverty and you were like, oh my gosh, like this.
Yeah. I mean, Machrihanish full length golf course, going to beat you up a little bit. You know, tough golf course, 18-hole full, you know, not 7,000 yards, but in the sixes easily, like traditional golf in the way that we typically think about it. You get to Dunaverty and it's a par 60, remind me, 66, something like that.
66. It's 66. Yeah.
One par 5. Under 5,000 yards, and it was awesome. Like it was such a great 36-hole day. We got there thinking maybe we'll play a few holes. We'll play 11 holes, or we'll mess around with our own routing. We kind of really didn't even say this out loud to each other, but I think we were just all like, oh, I think we're playing all 18 here today because this is just an awesome night for it. And I don't know, man. I feel like I've said this in a lot of different content we've done recently, but there's just something to like a 280-yard simple par 4 that is fun for everyone. I am almost exactly scratch golfer right now, and like there's a challenge to be had in that for me. And as soon as I teed off on that golf course, I'm like, oh, my dad would love this place. Like he would love it. Like we would have so much fun there, and like our experiences would be very different together at Machrihanish in terms of like love of that golf course. But like Dunaverty, I'm like, dude, I none of the people I like and respect would not like this. You know what I mean? Like it's just so fun to just hit random shots and get out of your own brain on how far a ball is supposed to go, and like the natural use of the terrain and just the beauty of that place. It was everything you described it to be, and it led to one of the most, we hit the jackpot on weather, but it led to one of the most special nights of golf. That's just a night. It's up in my top 10 of like, I will never forget like the images of that night.
You listen, I love the place. It's my favorite place in the world. And I was so nervous that you guys were not going to get to play.
You were up at like 3:00 in the morning texting us. Like, what do you do?
Well, I knew that you were playing Machrihanish, and I know Machrihanish can be hard, especially when the wind's blowing. And it's a tough golf course. And I'm like, man, they're going to be too tired to go to Narrowdy. And I knew you guys were going. You were texting me, you're going to the hotel. I'm like, they're going to get in the hotel, have 2 tenants, and not get up. And I know.
I was worried too, Jim. I was texting him. I was on the ferry out to Barra, and I was like, man, we got it.
And so I think I even texted you, Soly, before you left. You said something like, well, we may just play the first few holes. And I think I said, you've got to play, at least get out to 11, but try to play all 18 if you can. And I knew you would love it. It's just brilliant golf, and it's beautiful. And the shots that you play, you talk about these short par fours. I'm going to get like a preacher here for a minute, but they're 280 or 260, or there's par threes that are the 6th hole is a 280-yard par 3, which is harder than some of the par 4s. But if you look at this, and I've played these holes so much now, I know the strategy of them. There's mounds in the fairway. Like if you hit the mound the wrong way, the ball's going to stop. It's not going to go anywhere. If you hit the right side of the mound, you're going to roll on down to the green, like the 9th. I mean, there's so much, even for somebody that's a great player like you guys are, you get on that 11th tee and you think, well, what am I going to, there's still strategy involved in it. Cause I've got to fly this mound, or I've got to land it here to get it to run down on the green, or driver's really too much. Do I try to hit a 2-iron, a 3-iron, or a hybrid or something? I don't know. The variety there, is just endless, and it does not beat you up. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, by any means. I mean, I think I've played in a lot of competitions there, and something 68 is a good score. 68 will usually win. One thing they've done in the last few years, and David McBrain, who you guys met and Tron's met, a wonderful, wonderful man who's been the greens, they call him the greens convener for about 25 or 30 years. And he's gotten some new equipment. He's cut back some of the rough to the point where it's still a penalty, but you can find your ball. And I've had this discussion with David a few years ago. He's like, why do we want people to lose a ball on every hole? I said, that's no fun for anybody. So now they've cut some of the rough down to where you can get in there and find your ball and hack it out, or maybe if you get lucky, even advance it. But yeah, the fairways are wide enough, and the wind changes direction. You got so much direction on the hole. There's so much variety on the holes, punch bowl greens. I knew you'd love it. And in fact, every one of the guys that were there, Neil and Big, even Ben, and they all texted me separately. And Cody did too, just individually, like, man, this place, thank you for making us make sure maybe y'all picked up on the fact that I was getting nervous that y'all weren't going to play. I don't know. But I'm so glad. I was so relieved. And I think I texted you, Tron, you may have been on the ferry to Harris or somewhere, but I said, you said they loved it. And I said, yeah, I've heard from all of them individually. And so, yeah, I think you can see why I've built it up so much over the years. And it's just a very unique place in golf, and the people, the clubhouse, it's just everything about it is perfect for me. That's why I've written about it so much.
AT&T believes in connecting people to greater possibilities, and they do that through a network that keeps people meaningfully connected to those who matter most: friends, family, and more. So the moments that matter feel closer and clearer, because it's not just about being more connected. It's about being better connected wherever life takes you. When the connection matters, it has to be AT&T. To find out more, head to att.com/connect to change. AT&T, connecting changes everything. Back to the pod. It cleared the bar for me in terms of, like, was this place a place I'd recommend to somebody, or a place that I'm like, you are missing out if you don't go? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think you're missing out if you don't go, which is a high bar to clear in terms of like recommending a golf course. It would be like, I would suggest people to, yes, if you're too tired and it's 6 o'clock at night, and but you have an evening to go, like, go do it. You will not regret it. It is, you'll see pictures of it later, and we'll have regretted not being able to experience it.
It'll energize you.
Love to play it again. Yeah, it's kind of, I can see why you love to play it on repeat too, because it was like, I felt this way from watching When Revelation Comes, of just like, oh, that's a golf course I got to go see. Like, those shots look so fun, and I don't even know what the hole is there, but that's a shot I want to hit. And it was, I've been thinking about that place a lot since we left.
I think there's something with like let's say you're a good player, and like, man, like, all right, like I really want to break par, or I really want to, like, I want to see how good I can shoot. And like, that's such an interesting, like going and playing offense on a course like that. There's some little spots that can just trip you up, and it's such a good mental exercise of getting the ball in the hole. It's all relative.
How about the 10th green?
You can make a 10 on 10.
I mean,
or 17.
I think you were one under when we came into that hole one day and wound up walking off with a 10, I think, on the hole. It just, I don't know. I'm very biased about it, but I will say this: where else have you been that's like Denaverty? I mean, it's just there's nothing really like it. It was laid out in 1889 by the original members. I mean, it wasn't an architect that laid it out. It was local men, people from Campbelltown, that farmers and stuff. And I think they knew what they were doing. And I remember, I'll never forget when we drove in there, Tron, that first trip a few years ago, and we're driving and on the road on the 17th green, and you just literally just started laughing, just like, I can't believe this. We're driving between the green and the river, and is this a real hole? I'm like, yes. And it just, where else have you seen a hole like that has a river right in front of the green? And it's just, I don't know. I love it. Yeah. I'll never get tired of it. I play when I go over there, and when I go this time, I'll play every day. And, I may even play 36 one day, because there's a couple of climbs out there, climbing up the 12th and climbing up the hill on the 10th. That's a tough climb up 12, but it's not hard to walk, I would say, in the big scheme of things. It's just got a couple of climbs that get you, but you can handle that in a round. So I can't say enough about it. I've written about it just to the point that people probably get tired of it, but I find something new every time. I mean, I'm thinking of another story about it, and there's just so much, and the members are just, they've treated me like family, and I can't wait to be back in a few weeks.
Well, I think Machrihanish Dunes, we've talked about that. I mean, like, how would you guys have both played Machrihanish Dunes. I have not. How would you sum that up? And it sounds like it's gotten better over the years as well. Like they've done some good work.
I'll just real quick. I think it's a good golf course. Some of the walks, and I understand why they had to lay it out the way they did, but some of the walks from tee to green just are so disheartening. And maybe that's not a fair criticism, but when you've played Machrihanish and every tee is literally 2 steps from the next green, you get on some of those holes at Mac Dunes and you're like, God Almighty, when are we going to get there? But it's beautiful, and it's got some really cool greens. Soly, you're a much better player than me. It's a very hard golf course, I think.
I experienced it on, I did the double dip Machrihanish and Mac Dunes back in 2017, and I had kind of a tough weather day when I did it. And I wish my memory was stronger in it, other than I remember it being pretty heavily criticized at the time. And I remember having fun. I remember I think the sun came out when I was out there, and it, to your point, I've looked at it back on the map since then, Jim, and it is like, they're I assume it's SSI or SSSI related reasons as to why, the tee to green walks are bigger than they are. And it's bold, it's big, it's a little manufactured. The greens are crazy, and it's a different, not just a traditional laid out Scottish links, but like, it's not the Castle course, right? It's a different, it's Dave McClay Kidd. It's a different brand of DMK than that. And I would recommend it. I mean, it's a strong golf course, if you ask me. To your exact point, it is not a traditional easy walk. Here's that is part of the. I think it's a totally fair criticism, Jim. I think that's part of the charm of these golf courses. Is like, hey, the origin of the game used to be you teed up the ball within 2 club lengths of the hole of the actual cup prior. Like then eventually we ended up with tee boxes and moving away from it, but like, big walks to tee boxes are not a natural thing when it comes to the game of golf, when it comes to the history of it. And the farther we drift away from that, I think the worse off we are, because I think golf is meant to be like, just go, hit it, find it, hit it again, and keep moving and keep rolling.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. It's just, a lot of these places we're talking about, I mean, hell, you hit over the next tee, you hit over the green you just played in some cases. And I love that. when you're walking, especially, it just the rhythm of that is just fun, and it gets. But look, I'm like you. I always tell people ask me, and I say, yeah, play it. Now I would play Macrohannes 3-1 for Mac Dunes. That's just me, but I definitely and the people are very, very friendly that run the course, and it's worth it to do it. And they're building allegedly another 18. I've been out to the site, and a lot of it's kind of in farmland. It'll be interesting to see how that one turns out. There's not as much dune land left, but it's supposedly well, they've been talking about it for 5 or 6 years, but I heard recently that it's starting to get a little bit more movement.
I think having some more critical mass down in that area would only help, right? And yeah, Campbelltown's cool. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just an interesting, like, you got the big runway there, and you know, you're what, 20 miles to Northern Ireland across the water. It's just a crazy kind of just piece of geography. And then, so Jim, from there, we like Carradale. Like, how would you sum up Carradale? It's kind of like a little bit more rustic than, you know, it's more headland, more rustic. You get the views out to Erin, but like, and it's a tough drive up from Campbelltown, but it's also like, I think if you're making that drive and you have a spare 2 or 3 hours, it's not to be missed.
No, everybody that I've sent to Carradale has loved it. It's very quirky. It's the kind of stuff I love. I think the day that you and I played there, you said something to the effect of, this is one of the most fun rounds of golf I've ever played in my life. When we got done, you know, that first hole was just straight uphill par 3, and then when you get up on that second tee looking down, the second hole is just brilliant, and you're looking straight out to Erin and across the Kilbrannan Sound, and it's just one after another, and it's these weird greens that are kind of cut into the side of hills, and kind of like Corey has a couple, and you know, the 6th hole we've talked about. You and I have talked about. I've written a story about the 6th. Well, it's in the book. A lot of it's about the 6th hole. One of the best holes you'll ever play, and just this crazy green that you were just busted out laughing when you saw it when we were there, and you're just like, I can't. This is just incredible, and like you said at the time, I mean, nobody in their right mind would build something like that, but that's the way it's been for 120 years, and you know, they've had the same greenskeeper for 42 years, Robert, but it's a and he takes care of it by himself. It's a little bit. I would even say it's a little bit more rustic than, or a good bit more than Denarity, but I love it, and the people that go there love it, and you know, if you're the kind of guy that gets caught up on having greens that are 10 or 11 on the stimp meter, and this is not for you. I mean,
you've turned this podcast off.
You should not be an hour 15 into this episode.
It's not for you. It's a different kind of golf. It's one that I love, and I think it's still a challenge. I mean, it's still you still have to get the ball in the hole. I mean, and so, but yes, I always tell people to try to get by Carradale, either on your way. I think it's probably 40 minutes up from Campbelltown, up the one of the windiest roads in the universe. But there won't be much traffic is the good part of it. But I think I think when we took that trip for the film on When Revelation Comes, I came away thinking it was one of your favorite places you'd ever been.
Just some of the strongest holes on the trip, I thought.
Yeah.
I think so. All right, Gia. Is that one? Have you been there, or is that?
I have. I have played it. I would go over and eat at the Boathouse restaurant. It's right on the water. It may even have a Michelin star. I don't. If it doesn't, it ought to have one. You would and then play this. It's a very rustic 9-hole course. There's a guy that takes care of it when he has time. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It's got some couple of good holes, and you're playing golf on an island in Scotland. So. But that would not be one that I would build a trip around. But if you had if you were going, I would recommend going over to. The problem with going over to Gia is the ferry is so weird. The ferry is so weird. The last ferry is like you can't even. I think the last ferry leaves at 6 o'clock or 5:30 coming back. So even if you're going there to eat, you've got to eat a late lunch, kind of late tea. You know, and so that's what. Now you can't stay out there. There's a hotel or two, but and I love the little island, but that's not one that I don't put it in the Caradale tier of things at all.
Okay. And then Isla, like you're staring out at Isla and Jura from Machrihanish there, and you got the peaks and all of that. It blows my mind that there's only one golf course on Isla, and that's the
there used to be more. I think there was 3 at one point, and 2 of them closed. Same sort of story as Aaron. The Mockery, I've played the old course 3 or 4 times and loved it. It had 18 or 19 blind shots. I've not played the new. They redid it completely in within the last 6 or 7 years, I think. And everybody that I've talked to that's been out there loves it and says it's great, and I'm sure it is. I think they got rid of some of the blind stuff, but it's I'm talking to somebody recently that had been out there and loved it. It's there's 7 whiskey distilleries out there, I believe. That's right. So it's a great place to go and spend a day or two, play the course, go visit Bowmore, Ardbeg. I mean, these distilleries are fun things to do, and just the way the craftsmanship that goes in to making this stuff, I'm fascinated by. Anything that people spend so much time trying to perfect, and it's an art form I love, so I love taking those tours, and so I definitely think it's worth going out there. I've not played what I'm calling the new course, but everybody that I've talked to loves it, and I love the old one. Was one of my favorites. I thought it was just one of the most bizarre things in the world, but they've softened it up a good bit in terms of the quirkiness, from what I understand.
And then we're not going to talk about Ardfin on this one. That's kind of the only course on
Ardfin just missed out on my top 18 in the book, Tron. I had it on the list, but just couldn't quite. I think, 4 months of your mortgage payment for a round of golf is a little bit too much for me.
Much.
But yeah.
Colonsay is out that way.
That is one I love.
That's pretty far afield.
It's a lot like Iona. Yeah,
you gotta be pretty committed.
You gotta be. You got to stay a couple of nights if you're going out there, because the ferries. I think the ferry only runs. Well, you have to, because the ferry doesn't go every day. It's like a Tuesday and Thursday, maybe. I can't, but I love the course. Reminds me of Iona. It's that kind of very similar type of course. And I wrote about it a lot in When Revelation Comes. But if you're looking for an adventure, I'd love the Colonsay Hotel. You would dearly love it. I know how you are about hotels. I think it's got 8 rooms. The restaurant, they just cook whatever they've caught that night, oysters and, langoustines and what mussels, whatnot. Wonderful little place. And you sit out in the back garden and eat your dinner, looking out at the water. So I love Colonsay, but that is a commitment of, that's at least that's almost a 3-day commitment to do. Yeah.
We're at that part of the pod.
Yeah.
And Iona, we talked about, I mean, that's probably a 2-day commitment to do. It's getting out, getting out all the way there. It's a couple ferries from Oban, or, I guess if you're on the Isle of Mull, get out there. But yeah, like some of these islands, there's not that, there's just not that much golf. They're so remote, and they're pretty vast,
Yeah, I mean, Iona, I love, and I know you love it, but we did it, or we sort of did it in a day. We crashed the car, but it's
we
didn't crash it. We got a flat tire. I mean, it just every time I go by the Quick Fit in Oban, I think about you. Honestly, I just I usually post a picture that says Quick Fit, the official tire distributor of No Laying Up. But the roads going down. I mean, Finley McDonald, our mutual friend, will tell you. I mean, the roads are just terrible. So you have to. Yeah. We were even that. I won't belabor that story, but we were even trying to look out for potholes. Like we were. Yeah. I was on the lookout for them, and I didn't see this one. And they're just right on the edge of the road, and they'll just destroy your car. So you got to. That's part of it too. I mean, you got to. You got to take that into account,
This is the perfect time to tell you about our friends at East Sands Golf. East Sands helps bridge the gap between playing the most famous courses like Royal Troon and discovering the hidden gems of Western Scotland that can make a golf trip truly special. Haley and Nick, friends of ours, they built eSands specifically to help golf sickos put together the perfect trip across Great Britain and Ireland, or wherever you want to take your trip. Whether you want something big and ambitious or small and straightforward, they can build the trip around exactly what you're looking for. We're also excited to announce we're working with eSands on some exclusive trips for Nest members next year. So if you want to join a great group of friendlies on an awesome golf trip that's already been planned and organized for you, keep an eye out for those. When it's time to start planning your next trip, go to eastsandsgolf.co/NLU. That's eastsandsgolf.co/NLU. Nest members will save $500 per person on any trip they book, and repeat uses of that offer are allowed. So if you're not a Nest member, consider joining our crew of sickos, and make sure Nick and Haley know you're a Nest member when you book your trip to England, Scotland, or Ireland. eastsandsgolf.co/NLU. Go have some fun. Back to the pod.
Oban's kind of the center of the, kind of like the gateway out to a lot of these last islands we'll talk about, just, Benbecula, Isle of Harris, South Uist, all of those. But Oban, I've driven by Glen Cruton before, the home of Bobby McIntyre, and his dad's the greenkeeper there. I've never played it. And yeah.
It's a tough little golf course. It's very tight. It's very hilly. You can see why Bob plays the way he does. You can see why he controls his driver really well, at least from what it looks like to me, because you got to there. I mean, it's extremely tight. It's got some good holes. It's not my favorite, but it's really hard to walk. I mean, it's so hard to walk.
It's not one of those courses I see it, I'm like, oh, I want to play there. It's kind of like, okay, that looks tough.
No, but when you see some of the holes, like there's a couple of the par threes that are just stunning, but to get to them, I don't know. And the club's very friendly, but it's worth stopping by there and having a beer and playing if you want to, but just be prepared that, like if you were asking me, I'd tell people to play Isle of Seal before Glen Cruton. I love Isle of Seal.
Which is not an old golf course either. They laid it out, in the 80s or 90s?
Yeah, it was the late 80s and laid out by local guys, but wonderful sort of heathland, lockside, bayside course. Costs you £10 to play. I think it's all day. It's 15. So it's a little bit more fun to me, and it's easy to walk. I mean, you could walk it twice and you wouldn't feel anything. You'd be. Well,
let's go out from. Let's just take the big ferry out from Oban to, we'll pass by Isle of Mull and Call and Rum and Tyree and all that, and go out to I played Barra. Finally, it was another one that was laid out in the early 90s. They're not really I was expecting it to be more like Iona as far as just that that kind of loamy Macaire soil. And it wasn't. It was more of a mud, rocky kind of, spectacular little golf course. But I think Askernish was worth the trip in and of itself, out to South Uist and Eriskay and all of that. I think I was expecting it to be a lot more just found, I guess, found's not the right word. I was expecting it to be a lot more like I had to squint to see the golf course. And it was in really good shape and much more, it was much more defined than I was anticipating it being.
The greens at Askernish are some of the most fun, wildest greens I've ever played in my life. I don't know how you feel about it, but they're just crazy, and you can play off mounds and just into punch bowls. And I love Askernish. I mean, if you're asking if it's worth the effort to get out there, 100% it is. Yeah. I agree with you. It's just a very unique place. And if you're going out, I know you guys didn't, I don't think you guys had time to get up to Isle of Harris, but you drive up, there's one ferry up around, I can't think of the little island.
Loch Maddie or.
That you can take across there and go play Isle of Harris, which I do think is in my book. And it's Askernish and Isle of Harris are both in the book and are in my top favorites. And it's worth going out there and spending a couple of nights, 100% worth trying to figure out how to do that. And, we talked about the ferries a little bit. You just got to be
roll with the punches a little bit.
You got to. Yeah. That's the only thing that's all you can say about it.
Yeah, because our ferry, we were supposed to go back from what was that, Loch Boysdale back into Mallaig.
Yeah,
and that ended. The bow thrusters were broken on the boat, and so they changed it the day before, and we ended up going into Uig on the Isle of Skye, which turned out to be, one of the greatest drives I've ever taken in my life. But I was looking at it, I was like, all right, what, maybe we can just drive up to Harris and play Isle of Harris, and then Stornoway, and then take the ferry from Stornoway over to over to Ullapool, right? Because there's Ullapool and then Garrett. Like, I think there's all this stuff that's up in the Highlands, on the west side of the Highlands, that is probably more, like, it's more in the Western Isles than it is in the Highlands, because it takes so long to get there from a Dornoch or Brora or Inverness, right?
I agree. I think Gairloch, Durness, that stuff, although it's classified as the Highlands, to me it feels more like part of the Western Isles. I agree with you. Like the time that I played Durness and Gairloch, I came over on that ferry that you're talking about, and it was just a better way. It was a nice way to kind of get to that place without, because that corner of Scotland is the roads are pretty bad. I mean, I don't mind doing it. I think it's fun, but if you're a nervous driver, you better hang on when you start going up there, because you're talking 50, 60, 70 miles on very, very narrow single lane, single track roads. And the only saving grace up there is generally you can see far enough ahead where you can see when somebody's coming. And so you'll almost always have a passing place that you can get into, and you don't feel trapped like if you're coming over a hill and a big camper van or a bus is coming straight at you. But yeah, those places are remote. Durness and Gairloch, I've got them in my 19th hole chapter. I love both of them. They were two of the courses that, when I was doing the final list, I actually wrote chapters for both of those, and just didn't they didn't quite make it when on my final cut. And so I love them. And but yeah, that I always sort of tell people to try to combine it. I do what you said. Like, if you're going to take that trip, go from Oban or over to take the ferry over to play Askernish, drive up to Harris. Stornoway has a pretty good course up there that I've not played, but I've driven up past it, and it looks fun. And then take that ferry across, and then play those places that you're talking about, then come down, maybe around down to Dornoch and Dornoch and Brora. But that, to me, it's almost a better, although I love these driving, you see so much great stuff on these roads. If you're nervous about the driving, that's a little bit better method to do.
And then I think there's some stuff in your book that's, there's some stuff on the East Coast, but there's some stuff up that we didn't really cover up in the Highlands or Highlands adjacent that, we've talked about Durness a little bit, but Covesea and Hopeman are two that I'm ashamed that I haven't been to Covesea yet, and I'm dying to get there, and, Lossiemouth right down the road. But Covesea looks one of one. Yeah.
Covesea is one of one. It's almost like, I almost compare it to the Sweetens Cove of Scotland in a way. It's just in the way that it's sort of this can-do. This guy and his wife built this course. Andy he was a golf course contractor, builder, but they got this land and decided to build this course. And you can read about it in the book. But the day we went there, Jake and I were on that trip, and we had already played Fraserburgh and Cullen, and y'all know it doesn't get dark that day.
Okay.
And we were leaving the Cullen parking lot, and I have to give Jake credit for this. I was tired, and because Fraserburgh is a hard course and it's hard to walk, but we were with George Clark, a mutual friend of all of ours, and George said, "Where are you off to now?" And Jake said, "Well, we're going to go play Cozy. And I said, I don't know, Jake. And he said, Dad, we've got to do it. I'll give him credit. He said, I've looked at these pictures. We got to do it. And it was about another 45, 50-minute drive.
Oof.
Yeah. And so we get there. It's 7:00. Angela, who they had a little trailer out there, she saw us drive up, and I tell the story in the book, but she said, well, you've got time. Nobody's out. You'll be around in an hour and 10 minutes. And she goes, but you got to eat, and y'all know how it is over there. 8:30 is like the last service, She goes, you got to eat. You got to eat. I'll book you something in Lossy Mouth. So she booked our dinner while we were out playing, and we got Cozy on the golden hour, the greatest golden hour I've ever seen, bar none. And I'll put this up against stuff I've seen at Sweetens Cove, Denarity, Macrahan. It was just like, I look back at the pictures now, honestly, and they do not look real. They look like they're fake. And the place Andy did such a wonderful job fitting it into this hidden. Tron, you got to go. Both of y'all got to go, but
yeah,
you sort of you drive down this sort of narrow lane, single road down through gorse. You can't see anything. All of a sudden you're down at this hidden sort of cove it's completely hidden from the rest of the world, and it's right on the edge of the water. And it's just, people that go there dearly love it. I mean, Andy, they've been so great supporting the book. He actually came to one of my book signings, and got to talk to him for a while, and they're just people are finding out about it. And it's I don't know what it is now, 25 pounds, which is nothing. And it's just stunning. I mean, hole after hole. It's got a couple of holes like Cullen. You're hitting over like the 13th at Cullen, where you're hitting over the rock. There's one like that. It's the only other place I've seen with that kind of hole. Well, I guess Iona maybe has one similar to it, but that's what it is. And it's just a great little golf course, and it's pure fun. The pro at Nairn, who y'all might know, Michael McCallan, loves it. He goes and plays there all the time. I mean, Michael will text me, like, that's what he does for fun. Is he's the pro at Nairn, he goes and plays Cozy. So think about that. I mean, and so they're just coming up, and they're coming up out of nowhere. Hopeman, you mentioned, I love Hopeman. Did you get to there on this trip or not?
No, and I'm just, it's like, I want to go play. I've never done Fraserboro. I've never done Lossy Mouth. And then I want to go Coversea, Hopeman, up to Durness, and go play Ray and Wick and those. So just do like a B-sides. Yeah. Well,
Hopeman is, I highly recommend Hopeman. Very friendly, 18-hole course. Wonderful. The back nine is the best. I mean, I would put the back nine well over the front, but there's so many great holes on the back. I think it's 40, 50-pound range, and people will welcome you there. It's got one of the greatest par threes called the Pre-Shock. I hope I pronounced that right. It's the 12th, and you're hitting down, straight down to over this gorse-covered hillside to this green that's down by the ocean. I'll send you some photos of it. It's just, you've probably seen it. It's just, it's a one-off kind of hole. I've never seen another one quite like it. And to me, I'll play a course just for one hole. I don't know how y'all are, but if it's something that good, and I'm not saying that Hopeman is only one hole, because the course is really good. I love it, but that's the hole that you would put up against on any list in the world,
What? All right, let's land this plane a little bit. I did want to ask you about the night in the book that you're playing the old course, and it's pitch black. It's basically completely dark when you're finishing up, and just pretty spiritual evening.
It was, I had not been there. I had not played it in 20 years. I'd played it a lot when I was younger, and I love the old. I mean, the old, I always say it's in a class. You can't really rank the old course to me. It just sort of, maybe that's a cop out, but I always, when people ask me to rank courses, I just say I'm not ranking the old course, because I just feel like it's something that's on its own. We got around, we were I forget what they call these times. They call them, not evening times, but you know how they call stuff twilight golf in the U.S.
Yeah.
So we got,
you're not guaranteed to finish.
You're not guaranteed to finish. Well, we were the last group that finished, and I really wanted to finish because Jake was there and he was having so much fun. I mean, this just tells you everything about Jake. He was playing with persimmons and just playing great, and the ball was rolling like it only does at the old course, and we were having so much fun. We got paired up with a guy from Titleist that Tron, or was it Cal? Anyway, randomly got paired up, and we had some great caddies, and it was just, we all had some good holes. We had some birdies, but I was really, as we got around to like the 14th, and I remember walking past Hell Bunker, and I'm like, we're not going to finish. There's just no way we're going to finish. It was twilight at that point.
Yeah.
In fact, the guy, David, that was with us, who hosted us, he quit playing he said, look, I want you guys to finish. I'm not going to play anymore, which was a wonderful gesture. And when we came up to 18th, literally it was just lit by the town lights. I mean, it was the light coming across from the old and from the houses down the right side. But we finished, and it was completely dark when we got done. And they had, I couldn't believe they did this. I write about it in the book, but they had made this flag of this drawing that Jordan had done when he was 9 years old, and they'd put it on the 18th hole at the old course. And I didn't even realize, they kept wanting me to look at it, and I really didn't realize what it was. I thought, I said, well, that was nice. They got Jake to sign a flag for me. I didn't really look at it that close. And I went over and sat down when we were settling up with the caddies and stuff, and I opened it up and looked at it, and I'm like, oh my God, they've made this flag from this drawing Jordan did of the old course logo when he was a kid. And it really just, I had to run and catch our friend in the car park and tell him how much I appreciated it. And, there's really, you guys have played there a good bit. I mean, there's just, it's sort of to play it. And it was and the other thing, really probably the reason we were able to finish was it was a very clear day. So we had some residual light up until the very end there. But, it's funny. You can play that 18th hole in the dark. I mean, there's enough light. There's, enough light coming around, but we were the last group to finish, and I'm so glad we did it. It was just wonderful, and Jake still talks about it, and I'm so thankful to the Links Trust for really helping us do that, because it's, as y'all know, it's hard to get on, and so
David Connor. I mean, we're indebted to him for helping us.
Yeah,
like Tourist Sauce season 2 is like he basically arranged that. And,
what a nice man. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a good man, and a credit to golf in Scotland. So,
well, he told me, and I think I've got this in the book. He said, it made me realize how special this place is where I work and how much it means to people around the world. And he said, it just really hit me that, that some kid in Alabama was dreaming about playing the old course when he was 9 years old. And I don't know. They have, as long as they've got people like that taking care of the place, they're going to be fine. And, I like the way they're doing the ballots and stuff now. Some people don't like it. It's fine as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's fair, it had been 20 years, and it was really, I got out there and I'm like, man, this is just so much fun. It's such a fun course to play. Yeah. And it is. And the funny thing is, it's one that, I'm a 15 handicap, and I've never felt scared to play the old course, if that's the right word. It's playable. You know what I mean? It's playable for people. Yeah. So,
Jim, unfortunately, I've got to drop. Great chatting with you. I'm going to let you guys keep going, because I know you guys could go for probably another hour, if not. So, but thank you. Always great talking to you, my friend.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Soly doing British radio. It's Open Championship week, so I'm squeezing this one in. All right, couple quick hitters for you. I think you have your top 100 holes list.
Yep.
In Scotland. How much turnover is there on that after each trip?
Well, I do. I'm glad you asked that. I do keep up with it, and there's a little bit. And what I found is there's a lot of holes shift around. I've moved the 6 at Shishkin up to second now. I think I had it 4th or 5th before. I can't remember, but I've moved it up to second. I've added the 12th and 15th at Whiting Bay in there, which I just think are all world Scottish brilliant golf holes. So it does. I mean, if I find one that I really sort of moved by, or like, this is really great, then I'll spend a little bit more time on it when I'm there, and maybe take a few more photos and try to understand the hole a little bit better. And then I do keep it updated, and it does usually when I play a new, like Millport. I added a hole from Millport after I played there, I believe the 11th, and so it does change and it gets updated, and you find things that are a little bit better and that you like a little bit better, but also it just, what's within there changes. Like I've really just become such a fan of the 6 at Shishkin now, and it just keeps moving up. So
I know you said you're going to Perthshire next, but anywhere that you haven't played that's just screaming at you, that's pulling at you, it's like,
the only one that I feel like for me that I've just got to get to is Walsey, if I'm pronouncing that right, up in Shetland. I've really wanted to play that, and I've just never. It's such a long.
yeah.
I think it's a 9-hour ferry trip from Aberdeen or somewhere to get up there. I don't know if I'll be able to do that one. I would love to. That's one that I've had on my list. There's one or two. That's probably the biggest one. I mean, I've not played. There's a course on Isle of Call that I've not played. That it's again, like we were just saying earlier, it's one of these, if you're going out there, you got to time it, because the ferry only goes on Tuesday and Thursday or something. So you got to go. It's not just to go out there and back kind of thing. But there's a couple like little ones on the islands that I still haven't gotten. But I've been pretty much everywhere. It's just now finding places that I really have never heard about, one way or another, and just seeing what I find. And but that one up in Shetland, I've always wanted to do, and I've heard from people that it's a really good golf course, really good links course.
Are you ever pulled into, say, England or Ireland or that sort of thing, or is Scotland the final frontier for you, and there's just something that keeps pulling you back with the people?
I think it's probably the latter. I just can't give it up, and I love it, and I've kind of made it my life's work, if you will, for riding. But I am thinking about, I've played Birkdale and Lytham, and I played St. George's Hill one year, which was just incredible. I happened to be timed it when I was flying to London, and I've played all the courses in Ireland, and they're great. I did take one trip, and really a long trip, and played almost everywhere with my dad there. It's been about 15 years ago now. So I've done that. I'm thinking about doing a little bit more in England, just because England has so many great golf courses, really places that I need to play. Stephen Proctor, who I do the podcast with, that you guys so generously sponsor for us, is writing a biography on Bernard Darwin, and he's going to be over there in next April, and he's going to be playing all of Darwin's courses like Aberdyfi and Wales and Woking and Brancaster and all these places that that Darwin loved. And I'm thinking about at least joining Stephen for 2 or 3 days and playing a couple of those places. I feel like I do feel like I've missed some stuff in England. When you look at the courses in England, you see a lot of really, really good stuff, and Wales too. I mean, some of the stuff in Wales. I mean, the Links in the Sky, I've always wanted to play. Royal St. David's of Harlech, I've always wanted to play. Aberdyfi has been on my list forever. So if I may try to go to Aberdyfi next year and then work in a couple of these.
That's an easy one to do with Liverpool, or you go over to Formby or Wallasey. Yeah. So,
but really, I just I love being in Scotland, and I don't see myself changing much from that.
Well, nor should you. I guess. All right, current Open Rota rankings. Do you have a strong opinion on, it's your favorite tournament? It's open week. This pod will come out after the fact, but do you have a very definitive Open Rota, kind of rankings list?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm going to cheat a little bit. I think Muirfield and the Old Course are tied at the top. I think the Old Course is my favorite place where the Open's played. I think Muirfield is probably one of the greatest golf courses in the world as far as a test for players. It's just brilliant. And those two would be at the top. I hope the R&A goes back. Carnoustie, I would have second. I think Carnoustie is a fantastic open course. I love it. I think it's just every time they have it there, it's just you're on your edge of your seat watching. It's great. This one might surprise you a little bit. My third one, if you let me have the number one, would be Lytham. I think Lytham is vastly, vastly underrated.
I'm with you.
It's such a great golf course. I've played it a couple of times. I love it. It's just the strategy is just over the top. I hope they go back. I know there's challenges, but
they're going back.
So
they're going back in.
That's right. They
Yeah.
did mention it. They did finally say they would. I mean, you've been hearing for the last years, oh, the infrastructure is too much, can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can have the Open in Troon, surely they can have it in Lytham. I mean, then I would probably go to Turnberry and Troon. I haven't played Turnberry since the changes have been made. I played it a couple of times, back before, and I loved it. I thought it was great, and of course, some of the greatest Opens of all time. I've got a story in the book about the 2009 Open. It's one of my favorites I've ever done. So Turnberry and Troon would be there. Then I'd go to Birkdale, probably Hoylake, and this is probably not fair. I don't like some of the changes they made to Hoylake for the Open. I got to be fair about it. Sometimes you get colored by the people that win. I didn't really. The last Open there was just a big letdown to me. But it's a good golf course,
and it was wet.
It was wet, and that's when it's wet, it just takes all the fun out of it. I mean, that's
a course that needs the conditions to cooperate.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant when it's dry and firm and fast. The strategy really comes out of it. But yeah, I agree.
And then I would have St. George's last, which is probably not fair, but it's the only one of these that I have not ever played. And it looks, I would probably love it if I went there. So it's just kind of default that I like these other ones better, and it kind of winds up at the end. I left out Portrush. I forgot. I always forget Portrush. I mean, Portrush would be up in the Turnberry Troon range for me. I think it's a solid place.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have the Open at Royal County Down. I don't know how you feel about it, but
I've never been.
Think you would have a fit if you went there. It's just everything that we love about golf on that scale, on a scale that they could actually have the Open there. I think they had the Seniors Open there a long time ago when it may have been the last time Nicklaus ever played in it. And so I thought they were kind of testing it out for the Open, but I would love that. I think that would be a great place to have it. I know they've talked about
Port
Barnack they've talked about. I'm for adding. I'm all for trying that if they want to. But I do think it needs to go back to Muirfield. I mean, Muirfield's just the one there. When Nick Mickelson won, I could watch that kind of golf nonstop. I mean, the ball just rolling forever, and just every shot is life or death on the green, and so But that's kind of my ranking.
Okay, I'm largely aligned with you, and it's no slight to Portrush or Royal St. George's because I know they're brilliant golf courses, and I just don't think that it brings out what I want to see out of the pros. It's more aerial than it is on the ground. And granted, conditions have to cooperate for it to be on the ground at a Birkdale but this week we're going to see it, right? So
right.
All right, most cherished piece of feedback you've gotten on the book.
Well, when I did the book launch in Denaverty, some of the members, some of the things they said to me was very moving. I must have had 15 or 20 people that came up to me and said, thank you for everything you've written about this place. Thank you for doing this book. I've read part of it, and then I've read the Denaverty part. It's just captures everything that's special about this place. I mean, it's really kind of emotional hearing that from them. And then, I got Aberfoyle gave me a honorary life membership and from the story in the book, which I thought was as far as I'm concerned, was one of the best honors I've ever had in golf. And then I've gotten so many messages, Tron. I love getting these emails and DMs from people, and it makes the writing worthwhile. But a mutual friend of ours, I won't name him, but he's well connected in the golf industry. He sent me a long message one night, and he said, I've had this book. He said, I'm gonna paraphrase what he said. He said, I've just been trying to find a quiet time when I won't be distracted, and I don't want it to end. I'll read a chapter and think about when can I go back and read it again. He said, it's one of the best things you've written. And he said, it makes me want to go to all these places. When I get these messages from people and I get them all the time from people that are at Denavity or Shishkin or Corey, and they'll send me a picture of the book while they're out there playing. They may have even taken it with them. That means the world to me. I mean, this isn't going to make the New York Times bestseller list because we're not, Back Nine Press isn't set up on that like that. But, it's getting to the people that want to read it and the people that love this kind of golf like yourself. You and I are very much alike. We knew that from the first time we met at Sweetens Cove. I think we talked for 10 minutes and, gosh, we like the exact same thing, but when I hear from people that have gone to these places and how much they loved it, that means everything to me because, like we said, a lot of these places like Aberfoyle, they need visitors. And so when I've heard from 4 or 5 people that have gone by there this year. Well, the day you were there, you were just texting me hole after hole. I can't believe this. This place is incredible. And so I love that. If I've been able to help a little bit, that's the reward from the writing and, getting people to experience these places in the way that I write about them in the book, which is the fun of these kind of trips. And I think it's kind of what we've been kind of the theme of this whole podcast. It's a little bit different kind of trip than maybe a traditional one, but you're gonna be rewarded with some memories that you'll never forget.
Yeah, no, I think it's like I love the table of contents in the book because it sums up that notion of wandering, right? Mm-hmm. Not all who wander are lost, and I think that the book feels like a really good just wander and great surprises and it it's both a wander geographically around Scotland, but also a wander from a time perspective through 35 years of your life of, in golf and wandering through different phases of your life and different emotions and different people along the way. And all of that adding up to something that's much larger than itself. And Jim, I can say too, you've changed my life in a pretty drastic way of I think many of my favorite memories come from either playing places with you or people I've met because of you or through you who are now cherished friends or even, us planning out this tourist sauce season. It's like, I'm hopeful that the tail on this between your book and, our videos is going to, be quite a long one. Cause it's,
Tron, think about people like Greg McRae and Ewan McKinnon. Think about these people that we've met through golf, and there's 2 of the nicest gentlemen. You couldn't find 2 nicer people on the planet. Greg would do anything for you. I'm going back over to play with Greg on the Aaron team and these matches that Link's Diary is having, and he's just become a great friend, and it's all through golf. And I remember when we were doing that When Revelation Comes trip, I dropped you off at the ferry at Braddock. And, it was kind of an emotional, I could tell how much you had loved going to these places. And it was a very emotional moment there when, and I think I said, I hope we can do this again sometime. And, I hope you can help carry on the love of these kind of places like Corey and Shishkin and Denavity. And so I always, when you texted me that you were going over early for your tour sauce and the places you were going, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. And, I can't wait to go to the Grand Tully and you're going to have to tell your man I'm coming so they can take care of me when I'm there. But I love, I love that part of it just as much, finding a hotel that, we didn't mention the Corey Hotel, which you and I both dearly love. And, places like that are half the fun. I mean, you think about when we were doing that film and we would sit in the Corey at night and just spend 3 hours at dinner. And I mean, there's really nothing better in life than that as far as having fun and traveling and stuff. So, the book, I hope gets that across to people. I mean, it's, we're still trying to get it out there. You can get it. It's in the Wee Bookshop in Corey, which I think you guys just visited recently, and it's in the Dunaverty shop. You can get it from back9press.com, back the number 9press.com. I have to get that in there, and you can get it on Amazon, and
we'll get that in the show notes as well, and everything. But yeah, we got to get you in the bookstore in St. Andrews, and like some of those, legendary kind of golf bookstores, right?
We need to, and I don't know why. You and I were talking off air. I mean, we do have a UK distributor now. Back Nine does, so the book you can get it. I mean, Tony at the Wee Bookshop had ordered 20 or 25 copies, which I'm going to sign for. He sold some of them, but I'm going to sign the rest in a couple of weeks when I'm over there, and so you can get it. But it needs to be in Toppings and St. Andrews. It needs to be in Oban and Waterstones, and it needs to be in, and there's so many nice little independent bookshops in Scotland. I mean, and for that matter, it needs to be in the Square Books in Oxford, Mississippi. And, you'd think that something like that, because that's the kind of book it is. I mean, I think Shishkin has had 30 copies and they've sold every one of them. It's just a matter of getting more there and people being able to get it. But
I think it's the kind of book where people, like, this book finds people as much as people find it. And, so I think getting it out in the world, and kind of like, it's one that you would just pick up on the shelf and be, oh, you know what? Like, that looks interesting. Let me dive in here. And it's like a portal into a separate universe almost.
Well, part of it, something I'm really happy about, like when you see it sitting in like that Shishkin shop or in Dunaverty, and I'm obviously biased because I wrote the book, but it's one you look at it, man, that looks cool. That cover looks interesting. What is that? Mm-hmm. And we wanted it. The whole thing was kind of designed around sort of a retro 20s and 30s feel to it, with these old postcards and photographs, and the cover, which is one of these colorized postcards of Shishkin from the 20s. And so I'm so happy with that. It's one of these things when you see it, you pick it up, and once you, like you said, that you see that table of contents, you're like, this looks interesting. And so we're still early days. I'm hopeful. We'll submit it for a couple of awards and see what happens, and keep trying to get it out there. And I'll keep posting. I thank everybody that follows me on Twitter and Instagram that's been supportive of it. Greg is through Aaron Goff, and William at Aberfoyle. I mean, they've done so much to kind of promote it, and that's been a huge help. And so still keep doing that. And you guys, of course, has been great to me. And just that whole time you were on the trip, I almost felt like I was there with y'all, because I was so invested in how much. I mean, I knew in my heart that you'd love Whiting Bay, and I knew in my heart that they'd love Dunaverty, but you never know until people get there. So you're always, you probably experience this, Tron. When you recommend something pretty strongly, I mean, you're putting a bit of yourself
totally
on the line. You know what I mean? So you're kind of putting yourself in a position of, okay, I've sort of guaranteed this. What if they don't like it? So when I started getting the text messages, and I went by when I was over in April, I said, Greg, let's go by and look at the house in Whiting Bay where they're going to be staying. And I just wanted to see kind of what the view was going to be. Y'all had a great view there, and or it was Lamb. Was it Whiting Bay or
Lamb Bay? Yeah,
Lamb Lash. Yeah. So, but yeah, you guys have been great, and I can't wait to see this tour sauce when it comes out. It's all the places I love, and I do really hope that you and I get to do it one more time over there, and you know, if not on Aaron, at Denarity somewhere where we cross again, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we will. But it's been a pleasure, and I'm like you. Some of the memories of that trip and that trip with the film was done. I mean, I still get so many messages about that film, and people have come to the book through the film, and it's just one of the best things that came out of that. And it had such a great understanding of what that book was about, and so it's still to this day I get messages about it. So I think it's been since that came out, since I was on with you guys, and I just thank you for supporting the book and supporting my writing, and it just really means a lot to me.
Well, I think just going back to your point about recommendations, it's one thing to recommend a restaurant that's down the street or a dish at a restaurant. It's another thing to recommend a golf course where you're spending a day or two to get there and everything. I think even me, I was on Askernish when the guys went to Machrihanish and Dunaverty, and even for me, it's I think it's something where when people go somewhere without you, I think it's even you feel all right, I'm not there to put my thumb on the scale or to guide them through this place. And I think there's something even more powerful when somebody gets, understands a place or an experience when you're not there, because it speaks for itself. And I think that's where those guys texted me after the fact. And I mean, shit, I planned this whole trip, the whole trip is basically just continuing to pull on the threads that are in this book, both literally and figuratively. And I think that those experiences resonating with the guys and them reaching out to you is just an affirmation of, what you're about.
Listen, again, like I said earlier, I was so nervous first of all, I was nervous that they weren't going to actually go to Dunaverty. And then I was like, well, they're not going to have time. They're going to be too tired. And then I was thinking, traditionally, and I've been a follower of you guys from the beginning. I've listened to almost every podcast. Traditionally, this has not been Soly's type of thing. I mean, in fairness, I mean,
totally.
And so I was thinking he's not gonna like Dunaverty. And then to get this message from him that this is one of the best. I think it said this is one of the best rounds of golf of my life, or something like that. And they sent me a photo from the 11th where Jordan's bench is, and then I heard from Ben and Cody who were filming. They weren't even playing. And, and your brother and Randy, both sent me just this place is so great. Thank you for pushing it on us. Thank you for, helping us, meet people here. And so that is, I think I texted you that night after everything. I said, my life's work has not been in vain.
That was exactly it.
So, yeah, but man, thank you so much for doing this. Yeah.
Well, yeah, with that, everybody go buy Jim's book. And yeah, you're a regular contributor in Link's Diary, and go listen to your pod with you and Steven as well. I think it's it's just everything golf's about, I think is you personify. So thanks, Jim.
Thanks. Cheers, my friend.